Tom Herritage, Lieutenant, U.S. Naval Reserve.
Richard O'Mara, RD3.
Virgil Chambers, a Raterman, 3rd class, United States Navy.
We went to war and we watched some people die and stuff like that. So that's a real part of it, But most memorable is I don't know, when Vinny Volpe fell off the ship. And I thought
he fell off the ship?
Yeah, he fell off.
Was he on a boat that fell off?
No, he was doing some working with the ladder on the side.
Oh,
on the side.
Yeah. And he fell off.
It's a long fall.
And it was about 50. It's about 50 feet, And
I don't remember a man overboard.
Oh, trust me.
I'm sure it happened if you guys say it did.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't.
And I remember. It was a little disappointment for me because I wanted to go in after him, which is really stupid, because he had a life jacket on and everything. And I just thought, well, if somebody goes over, you just jump over there. And Wilson made me stop. Wilson said, "No, stay there, O'Mara." And Wilson was going to go in there, but Volpe popped up in his life jacket and stuff. What do you call that?
Where was that?
What do you call that?
Gangway.
The gangway, yeah, the gangway. We were in Vietnam. It was Da Nang or someplace.
It had to be Da Nang.
Yeah.
Okay, my comment as to the most memorable experience.
I wasn't done.
Well, obviously, O'Mara.
Right, good.
Not done. No,
I'm
finish.
only kidding.
No.
No, the more memorable experience is like just it was an exciting, wonderful. You got all these machines operating. You got all kinds of problems going on 24/7. But just the ability of everybody to get together and figuring out what was going on, right?
These guys will remember this because they left me in I-Corps. No, my most memorable experience. We were in the boats. Okay, so I was the salvage officer, and we were hauling the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines around, and then we were assigned a mission to pick up some Marines in Dong Ha, which is like 15 miles inland along the Qua Vet River. So I was part of the group that there were 4 LCMs. Well, we had 4 LCMs on the boat. So we were up and we were going to bring these Marines out. But so Dong Ha, the Qua Vet River is like 5 miles from the DMZ. So you were close to North Vietnam. And what occurred was a typhoon came up. The ship's right off the beach, so to speak, like 3 miles out, but we're up the river. Typhoon's coming in, so the ship went out to sea for like 2 weeks and left us in Dong Ha. Well, for us young types at the time, the Marines were holding an outpost literally like 1 kilometer from the border, and there was a lot of fighting. And so the Dong Ha went down in history. It went back and forth, but seeing the body bags come back from the Marine outpost and us sitting there with 4 Mike boats and no perimeter, no nada, that was a little interesting. But these guys came back and got us, so everything turned out.
We didn't want to.
Yeah.
It was an order. Go get these guys.
Yeah, so that would be the most notable experience. But the whole cruise, I think, was notable. Yeah. These guys were part of there were 400 officers and sailors. We did our job. Good part of that, we spent like 30 days, and it was the 3rd Battalion, 9th Marines.
9th Marines.
Better write that down. Yeah.
Sailing off the beach. We made a landing in Quang Tri Province. I think it was Operation Storm or something like that.
Beaver Cage.
Beaver Cage. We actually made a landing. The salvage boat, it was a sniper over on the left flank. We got a couple of holes in so we knew there were bad guys there, but working with the Marines, and y'all will undoubtedly remember this, we lost 14 Marines one night during that. They were taking Marines off one of our sister ships, and Marine pilot really lost the bubble, went into the ditch, and the pilots got out, but all 14 Marines on board drowned, and
they were wounded too. They were strapped in. It was terrible because there was nothing we could do.
Well, and then we kept searching for them, and the bodies kept coming up, so they were memorable. It was a real war.
Yeah.
Jim Bryan, he had one of the last ones they picked up, and he was describing the conditions of the bodies, and So you knew we were in a war, but we were glad to know we were doing our job.
I think the funny thing, not the funny thing, but you know, what people don't realize is like the Navy and the Marine Corps, they always go after each other. You know, if there's gonna be a fight, there's gonna be the Navy and Marines and all that kind of stuff. And we did a lot of stuff on the ship to piss them off, and they did stuff to piss us off. You know, they put a butt out on a deck, which you don't do. You know, they throw garbage around your ship, which you don't do. You know, your ship is your home. But they did it on purpose. And I'd shut off their air, their fresh air. You know, with the hot water. I'd
get all the complaints. The air conditioner's not working.
I did all kinds of stuff.
I didn't know that.
Shut them on the fan ass so they couldn't breathe down there, you know. But you know, for the guys, it was just like boys and girls. You know, you're just playing games. But when they got killed, when they started getting killed, you know, we had a couple guys we got close to up in the CIC, and they went off and got killed. It was kind of like, wow, you know.
We
We had to bring a goddamn freezer
we
and
were
stuff.
just, talking to them days before. We'd pick them up. I remember picking them up in the Philippines, right? Is that where we picked them up?
No, Okinawa.
Okinawa.
Yeah.
Okay, we picked them up in Okinawa. And I remember all these Marines getting on board. And I was thinking how lucky I was, because I was on the ship and we were just taking them over to Vietnam to drop them off to do whatever they needed to do. But I remember walking to the deck and seeing these Marines, and they'd ask me, they'd say, "Where are we going?" And I wanted to say, "Hell, if you don't know, buddy, you're in trouble. You know, you're going to Vietnam, it's where you're going." I mean, I think they knew that, but they didn't really know what they were going to do. And I thought to myself that, wow, to be in that state of mind, it's got to be tough. Being on a ship, which most of them were not comfortable being on the ship.
It was not comfortable for the Marines.
No, they were sick. They got sick. The ship. Of course, the whole idea of the motion sickness that you get on there it's true. I mean, I had it at first. Obviously got used to it, and it goes away. But when we picked them up, and what was it? How many days did it take us to get?
It took us about 5 days.
About
from
5.
Okinawa to Da Nang.
Now you make me feel bad for shutting off the radio.
Well, no, I remember I saw in their eyes. I really did. I saw in their eyes that they didn't know what they were really going to do. Not all of them. I mean, there were some of them that were gung-ho. When we get there, we're going to, we'll end this war and so on. But there are others that just had the fear God in them. And I used to remember how lucky I was, because I wanted to join the Marines part, because the Marines is sort of the Navy, and I don't think they'd like to hear me say that, but
No, I know.
I was glad I did what I did,
Yeah.
and I really feel, I felt, I don't want to say pain, sympathy, I don't want to say that, but there was a feeling I had for these brothers, these guys that were the same age. I mean, I was 19, 20 years old at the time, and some of these guys were just 19 and 20. And it was a tough experience for them, I'm sure. And
I think, they were scared. I mean, that's all. They're
Yeah,
scared.
scared.
And
It was-
that's what we're trying to avoid saying. But we're not trying to insult them at all. They were going into shit. They were
Well,
going into very bad stuff. This is, they knew it. And they were scared. And, good.
Just adding to what you guys were saying, because because I was in the boat, so you guys were up in CIC, but I was actually on the beach and
With them,
taking
yeah.
them up to Dang Ha,
See, I'm
and we made a landing in the DMZ. And again, all this stuff is bringing home, this is dangerous. A good buddy, and John McIntyre was his name, not a good, well, we'd known him, remember I did that 3-month small boat school, and he was there, and he wanted to be what was a SEAL at the time. So he washed out of SEAL training in that period of time, so they made him what we call the NOGLO, Naval Gunfire Liaison Officer, and John McIntyre was his name. And we made the landing in the museum.
Sure,
You guys were
sure.
directing the boats and all that. But he was in the first wave of Marines that went ashore, and they were going in helicopters. He got killed stepping out of the plane.
Wow.
Yeah. I found that out, shortly thereafter. He never touched ground, so they landed right on top of the VCNVA that were there in the DMZ, and so all that stuff brings home. We were in serious
what I mean.
business.
Yeah.
So, and then later we were running up, and to your point about we've got it better on the ship. That 2 weeks where we were left alone, foraging for ourselves. And the Marines fed us. If we ran through the sea rats right away.
Yeah.
And if the Marines that were at Dong, there were a couple of Navy LCUs that were running stuff up, so they let us eat a little bit. That was 2 weeks of being in the field. You were wet and hadn't had a shower in 2 weeks. Sleep. Alsobrook, we were talking about him.
Yeah.
We had some bad guys, and he was my coxswain on this salvage boat, and we're there, and it was a typhoon, so as you might guess, it's raining, and an LCM wasn't meant to provide shelter, so the only place and it's cold, I mean, the DMZ, Northern, it was cold. We were freezing. The only warm place on that Mike boat was down in the engine room. He reserved that for himself. He and I went at loggerheads, and I had a hard time not writing him up for all the things that he did wrong, like going into the village, getting drunk, but there we are in the war zone. He was already busted. He'd been a bosun mate's third class. He was already a seaman apprentice, so they couldn't bust him any lower. So I'm not going to write him up. But
he was one of those guys, part of the old Navy.
Yeah.
The old Navy that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.